Hi, welcome to the small shed. This week I'm back in the workroom looking at the costs and the whole DIY bespoke Ikea route debate. See you in a minute. Now I thought I'd take a minute or two just to have a look today at the costs that we had with doing the wardrobes in this room, and a discussion about whether or not you should go down the route of getting it done bespoke, doing it yourself, or the route that I've chosen, which is a sort of a hybrid of buying stuff and hacking it about. The people are going to have strong opinions whichever way you go with something like this. First of all though, just a very quick look at the cost. The wardrobes in here are about 2.5 meters in length of actual wardrobe space. There's the little bespoke unit beneath the cupboard, and there's the boxing in of the flue pipe behind me as well that you add on to that. I've gone to a couple of the people that I respect on YouTube who have joinery businesses and picked up some idea of costs of having it done bespoke, and I don't think I'm exaggerating. For a sprayed MDF finish, I think you're looking probably at about £1,500 to £2,000 a metre run of unit. That would give us a cost with that bespoke unit in the corner, something probably between £6,500 to have done this room with bespoke. Now, I'm not denying that would be brilliant. It would be a superb job. It wouldn't be quite what I wanted necessarily, because we prefer the wood look. They generally tend to work with sprayed MDF, although I'm sure they would do you veneered MDF. That may entail more cost, I don't know, but it just gives you a feel of the sort of costs. The wardrobes that I bought for this room cost £675. I think that gulf demonstrates why I've gone down the route I've gone down. There's nothing wrong with having bespoke. If I'd won the lottery, I would have them done bespoke, but I just can't afford to spend that sort of money on what is essentially a second bedroom or a guest bedroom that my wife uses as a workroom. There is another option, and that is that I could go out and buy materials and make my own if I had the skill, and I'm not entirely sure I have. But if I did that, I costed that up as well, and I was quite surprised actually that the cost of the materials is probably not much different to the Ikea. I think I came up about £755 for the costs for oak finish ply in MDF. Oak finish ply or MDF, draw box runners and things like that. So it's not a vast gulf in difference in cost, and I may be over the top with my costs on materials anyway, so I'll stand that as being saying they're equal. The difficulty of course comes with the time it takes to do it. I work backwards from the costs for the pros doing it, and I reckon realistically there's probably, just to make the wardrobes, 125 hours of work in making the wardrobes. Now again, they might say no, you're over the top with that. All I'm saying is, with my skill level, or a lot of DIY skill levels, even if I could do it, it would probably be nearer 200 hours. Now, given that I probably, in my state of age and health, can only get 5 hours a day in anyway, or would only want to, that leaves an awful lot of time to actually make the things. That means you're actually making wardrobes, you know, for probably a month and a half, never mind anything else. That precludes any other things that you might want to do. So there's that sort of side to it. And the other thing that comes about with doing it yourself is that there would be a need to buy some more kit, which is very nice to do, but sometimes it's a bit irrelevant. The one thing that you would need to do on a thing like this, I think, to make a reasonable job of it, would be some sort of a jig for drilling the holes for the shelves. And seeing as I've got all the Festool rails, I would want to go down that route. And you know, you're talking probably £100 or more for that. I'd need some sort of a jig for drilling the hinges, and the difficulty as well is that I would need a much bigger workshop. There is no way in the world I can get a 2.3 metre door realistically in a 2.7 metre shed and work on it, cutting the ends and things like that. I mean, I cut some of the panels on the floor in here, but I wouldn't want to be cutting the whole of the sides and all the other stuff on that. I could have done that over at Menin Sheds where I've got much more room, but then you run into the risk of problems with travelling with materials and causing damage. So the whole thing is a sort of a conflict and a compromise. So I will just have a quick look at that with my little small shed Venn diagram as to how this whole sort of dynamic works and where I think I am on that diagram and where other people might be as well. Let's just have a look at that. Right, so this is a typical project. It doesn't matter what it is. Anybody that's been involved in any sort of project management will recognise people, the customer, always want something that's cheap, quick and to good quality. And the fact of the matter is, such a thing doesn't really exist. Where those three overlap in the middle here, it's what I would class as being cloud cuckoo land, because you can't have can't even spell cuckoo. You can't have something cheap, quick and high quality. It just doesn't work. So what you end up having to settle for is the best of two of those, and that really depends on your circumstances. If you want something that is high quality and quick, in this instance, these wardrobes, you're going to go down the bespoke route. Somebody, a professional, will go into his workshop, he will make you something in a couple of weeks, he will come and fit it, it will be brilliant. High quality, quick, but it certainly isn't going to be cheap, as I hope alluded to earlier. And there may be variations on my costings, but it's, you know, you're still looking at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times more expensive than if you go down any of the other routes. Now you can go for cheap and quality if you are competent, and that basically is the DIY route. Because if you go and buy the materials and you're competent, given enough time you can produce as good a job as any of the pros, and it will be cheap, but it certainly won't be quick. As I've said, I think if I were doing this, irrespective of the fact it might not be as good a quality, but if it was, it's still going to take me months rather than weeks to do what I've done here. And then the other conflict that you can resolve, if you like, is cheap and quick. And that's the route I've gone down, which is this Ikea route. and they're not the best quality. I'll stand that, you know. I don't praise them for being the highest quality in the world, but they are fit for purpose. So there we are, the job's finished, the client is happy, and I'm reasonably happy with the end result. There are always things you can see that you could do differently or better, but at least we now have a functioning workroom that doubles as a second bedroom or third bedroom, and it seems to work okay, and it hasn't cost a fortune. There are always, as I say, conflicts between what people want and what they can afford. This is the route I've chosen, rightly or wrongly, and it seems to be working for us. So I hope there was something of interest in that for you. Look forward to see you next week when we'll get on to building something else, and I'll look forward to seeing you then. Bye!